Και να περάσουμε γρήγορα στην τρίτη κατασερά θεματική του συνεδρίου, που έχει να κάνει με τη χρηματοδότηση του yachting. Φέτος φέρνουμε στο ίδιο τραπέζι τρία κορυφαία στελέχη ισχυρών τραπεζικών ομίλων στην Ελλάδα και στο εξωτερικό. Της UBS, της JP Morgan και της Εθνικής Τράπεζας. Με εξειδίκευση στην χρηματοδότηση των high-value assets και στην ναυτιλιακή τραπεζική, οι οποίοι θα μιλήσουν για τα διεθνή χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία, τις προϋποθέσεις χρηματοδότησης και τα μοντέλα ιδιοκτησίας που την καθιστούν βιώσιμη. Παράλληλα, θα έχουμε και την οπτική ενός έμπειρου επιχειρηματία, του κυρίου Δημήτρη Αγγελάκου, αναφορικά με τις επενδυτικές επιλογές που καθορίζουν την ανάπτυξη και τη βιωσιμότητα ενός στόλου υψηλής αξίας. Το συντονισμό του πάνελ θα κάνει ο καθήλυν αρμόδιος σε θέματα funding, είναι ο κύριος Γιώργος Ξηραδάκης, πρόεδρος της Ένωσης Τραπεζικών και Χρηματοοικονομικών Στελεχών Ελληνικής Ναυτιλίας.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, χωρίς κοκό δεν υπάρχει τίποτα. Χωρίς λεφτά, you can use your translator if you want. I mean, and then we will continue in English. We have the one over there, and the second one is in your stage. Γιατί έτσι είπε η διεύθυνση για την εισαγωγή. Μετά θα είναι στα αγγλικά. Εντάξει, είναι για τον καθένα. Do you have it? Both of you? All right. Just for the introduction, it's going to be in Greek and then after that. Κυρίες και κύριοι, όπως σας είπα, χωρίς χρήματα δεν μπορεί να γίνει τίποτα. Με ιδιαίτερη χαρά σας καλωσορίζω στην ενότητα που είναι αφιερωμένη στη χρηματοδότηση του κλάδου του yachting, μια θεματική που σήμερα δεν αφορά απλώς την πρόσβαση σε κεφάλαια, αλλά τον ίδιο το μετασχηματισμό της αγοράς. Το yachting τα τελευταία χρόνια καταγράφει σταθερή αναπτυξιακή πορεία. Η διεθνοποίηση της ζήτησης, η ενίσχυση του θαλάσσιου τουρισμού υψηλής ποιότητας και η επαγγελματικοποίηση των δομών λειτουργίας δημιουργούν ένα νέο επενδυτικό περιβάλλον που με μεγαλύτερο μέγεθος, αυξημένες αποδόσεις αλλά και υψηλότερες απαιτήσεις. Παρατηρούμε μία σαφή μετάβαση από την παραδοσιακή αμιγώς ιδιωτική επένδυση, συχνά προσωποκεντρική, σε ένα μοντέλο όπου κυρίαρχο ρόλο διαδραματίζει πλέον η εταιρική υπόσταση, η θεσμική δομή και η διαφάνεια. Η εξέλιξη αυτή ανοίγει σημαντικές ευκαιρίες. Προσέλκυση θεσμικών επενδυτών, νέα χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία και εναλλακτικές μορφές κεφαλαίου, συνεργασίες με τραπεζικά ιδρύματα και επενδυτικά σχήματα, δυνατότητα ανάπτυξης στόλων με οργανωμένη εταιρική διακυβέρνηση. Αυτό δεν υπήρχε στο παρελθόν. Η αγορά ωριμάζει και όταν μια αγορά ωριμάζει αποκτά πρόσβαση σε μεγαλύτερο και ποιοτικότερο κεφάλαιο. Σήμερα θα συζητήσουμε όχι μόνο το πώς χρηματοδοτείται ο κλάδος, αλλά κυρίως το πώς μπορεί να δομηθεί με τρόπο που να εμπνέει εμπιστοσύνη, να μειώνει τον επενδυτικό κίνδυνο και να δημιουργεί μακροπρόθεσμη αξία. Με τη σκέψη, η χρηματοδότηση δεν είναι απλώς ένα εργαλείο ανάπτυξης. Είναι μηχανισμός θεσμικής ορίμανσης. Με αυτή τη σκέψη δίνω το λόγο στους εκλεκτούς ομιλητές μας, οι οποίοι θα φωτίσουν τις τάσεις, τις προκλήσεις και κυρίως τις ευκαιρίες που ανοίγονται μπροστά μας. Πριν αρχίσει αυτός ο διάλογος που θα κάνουμε, επιτρέψτε μου μία σύντομη αναφορά στους εκλεκτούς ομιλητές και μία αναφορά στα βιογραφικά του, εκτός από τον κύριο Αγγελάκο, ο οποίος τον κύριο Αγγελάκο τον ξέρουμε εδώ πέρα και να τον ευχαριστήσουμε κιόλας, γιατί κύριε Αγγελάκο, χάρη σε εσάς γίνεται και επιτυχημένο αυτό το συνέδριο, που από μόνο τους αυτά τα βιογραφικά αποτυπώνουν το βάθος και το εύρος της σημερινής συζήτησης. Ο κύριος Γιώχαν Μπλίτς είναι Head of UBS Aviation and Yacht Finance. Είναι ο άνθρωπος που δημιούργησε και ανέπτυξε τη δραστηριότητα χρηματοδότησης αεροσκαφών στην UBS από το 2006, οδηγώντας τη τράπεζα σε ηγετική θέση στη χρηματοδότηση εταιρικών αεροσκαφών. Το 2024 εισήγαγε και τη δομημένη χρηματοδότηση yacht, αξιοποιώντας την τεχνογνωσία της UBS σε σύνθετα περιουσιακά στοιχεία υψηλής αξίας, γεφυρώνοντας δύο αγορές με κοινά χαρακτηριστικά: την πολυπλοκότητα, διεθνή διάσταση και υψηλές απαιτήσεις διαφάνειας. Ο κύριος Stephen Hawkins, Global Head of Specialized Financing της JP Morgan, διαθέτει πολυετή διεθνή εμπειρία στη δομημένη χρηματοδότηση ειδικών περιουσιακών στοιχείων, από έργα τέχνης και κλασικά αυτοκίνητα έως ιδιωτικά αεροσκάφη και γιότ. Με διαδρομή που ξεκινά από τη Νέα Υόρκη και εκτείνεται στη Ζηρίχη και το Λονδίνο, έχει διαχειριστεί σύνθετες χρηματοδοτήσεις και αναδιαρθρώσεις για ιδιώτες, εταιρείες και θεσμικούς πελάτες σε Ευρώπη, Μέση Ανατολή, Ασία και Αμερική. Και τέλος, ο Θεοφάνης Μουστακάτος, Head of Shipping Finance της Εθνικής Τράπεζας της Ελλάδος, φέρνει βαθιά τραπεζική και επενδυτική εμπειρία με προϋπηρεσία στη Citigroup και ιδιωτικά επενδυτικά σχήματα. Από το 2020 ηγείται της ναυτιλιακής χρηματοδότησης της Εθνικής Τραπέζης, έχοντας διαχειριστεί πολυάριθμες σύνθετες συναλλαγές σε διεθνές επίπεδο και συνδέοντας το ελληνικό τραπεζικό σύστημα με την ναυτιλιακή και επενδυτική κοινότητα. Αγαπητές φίλες και φίλοι, τελειώνω λέγοντάς σας ότι ο κύριος Αγγελάκος είναι Managing Director της Angel Yachts, εκπροσωπεί τη δυναμική της ελληνικής επιχειρηματικής πραγματικότητας στον κλάδο του yachting. Με ναυτιλιακή εταιρεία και έμφαση στην ποιότητα, την καινοτομία και την επένδυση στους ανθρώπους, έχει συμβάλει στην ταχεία ανάπτυξη της Angel Yachts, προωθώντας ένα μοντέλο οργανωμένης επαγγελματικής και διεθνώς προσαρμοσμένης παρουσίας, και του είμαι ευγνώμων που μπόρεσε ο ίδιος να στήσει αυτή εδώ την όμορφη παρέα που είμαστε όλοι μαζί. Όπως αντιλαμβάνεστε, έχουμε σήμερα ένα πάνελ που συνδυάζει διεθνή τραπεζική τεχνογνωσία, εξειδίκευση στα σύνθετα περιουσιακά στοιχεία υψηλής αξίας, θεσμική εμπειρία και ενεργή επιχειρηματική παρουσία στην ελληνική αγορά. Αυτό ακριβώς αντικατοπτρίζει και τη μετάβαση του κλάδου από το μεμονωμένο asset στη δομημένη εταιρική και θεσμική όριμη επένδυση. Με αυτή τη δυναμική σύνθεση ξεκινάμε αυτή τη στιγμή μια συζήτηση ουσιαστική, πρακτική και στρατηγικά επίκαιρη. Κύριε Αγγελάκο. Αυτό που θέλετε. Η εισαγωγή τελείωσε. Did you understand this? It was very clear. You know, Greek is very close to your languages. All right. I don't think that it is. The only problem for us is not the English, it's the Chinese. But for you, you are both Chinese and English. This is the problem. You say either all Greek is to us or all Chinese are to us. This is correct. So, Mr. Angelakos, I will start with, because it is the A as well. Are we in a transition period in the yachting? How do you feel about this changes that, actually you led this change in a while, in fact. We are more corporate, more transparent. You have, from what I understand, a lot of support, a part of the family, that it's not easy to convince your father to follow you. This is the worst thing. I know that you're a father. I know very well. And you know, the problem is that he's not only a father, he has been for centuries a mayor as well. This is another issue. So, how do you see this transition period that we are facing in the yachting?
Firstly, I would like to thank our extinguished guests for coming to Greece for the 5th Pan-Hellenic Congress. And one of the reasons we called for this panel is, I just want to give you a brief, for us coming from the shipping world, it's a lot easier to receive, to get finance. But for the people that are not from the shipping industry, it is a lot difficult, a lot more difficult. I just want to point out as well that yachting is becoming, as you can see, the numbers say it, not us, is becoming increasingly popular, and commercial yachting as well. And if you just give me 2-3 minutes, I can explain what I'm trying to say. Private yachts is a totally different industry to commercial yachting. And the sooner that the banks understand the difference, a commercial yacht, for example, Dragnis family, Angelakos family, we are building separately, but we build commercial yachts. So these yachts are not to the requirements of Mr. Angelakos or the owner. It is to the requirements of the charterer. And these yachts are being chartered for 12, 14, 16. You have some yachts being chartered for 20 and 22 weeks worldwide. My understanding from the numbers that we run in-house is that commercial yachting is very interesting for the banks to support as well. Do not see private yacht as a private yacht, it's commercial. What is the difference? You need to have the right crew. You need to build the yacht efficient for the crew. I'm very glad that we have our crew is sitting on the table to our left, and they are here. When we started building these yachts, the captain was invited in, the chef has been invited in, we go and visit the yachts. You know, we receive their feedback, because their feedback as the crew is very important. So I just wanted to make this point. Commercial yachting is different to private yachting. Any questions that you may have, you can ask me later. Οποιοσδήποτε θέλει να ρωτήσει κάτι. Γιατί πραγματικά είναι τελείως διαφορετικό το commercial και το private. Και δεν θα σταματήσω να το λέω.
Ναι. So, I'm not interrupting you. However, very correctly said, I mean, including the two families that you mentioned, Dragnis and yours, that the market has already seen this move towards the corporate yachting field. All right. The same field applies for years abroad, and particularly North Europe, West Europe, Americas, etc. The issue is, do you feel, and I don't want a long answer, the issue is, do you feel that as an investor at this very moment in this field, you have a better appreciation from the local players here, the Greek side, that you say, do they respect what are your operations? Do they help you? Do they respect you?
Yes, all of them.
All of them.
All of them. And
so
when I say
the
all,
the market players, they are here to support your investments.
Yes, but which market players are we talking about?
We're talking about now, I'm talking, because here we're talking about the Greek yachting market, and
yes,
here we have marinas, we have...
Yes, the
banks,
marina support, the dry dock support, the crew support,
all right.
the paint experts support.
Bravo.
Yes.
This is what I want.
No, we have the support.
This is what I want.
Yes.
I mean, for instance, if, for instance, Koronakis respects you because you have a good, you have a fleet, and he respects you that you have a corporate standing, rather than a private yacht, this is something good. You understand what I mean? Or Marietis or whatever, you understand? So, I'm coming to you. With such a brain, You started from aviation, correct? I'm Illinois guy. I was one of the team members that we formed the transportation group at those time because I wanted to make shipping big. And because Illinois was the leader in the world in aviation, I said, okay, we're going to have a transportation group. And thanks to this move, we managed to finance the 82% of the ferry vessels, the new buildings, that they were built here for the Greek market. Because of this connection, I'm saying all these things, to show the connection between the passenger markets of aviation and of all the other mode of transport, including trains, of course, including road, and particularly ships and yachts at the end. And I was really very, very happy to see this, your background, and I congratulate for you. How do you view this transition? How do you see, here, the Greek market is very floating in terms of money. Banks are here to give money to all the Angelakoses and everybody. How do you see this market now for you, the yachting market? Does it create an opportunity, this change and transformation of the big families towards this investment?
Well, thanks a lot, and I would also like to thank for the opportunity to be here. It's a great pleasure, and I think it's important to be here because there are so many opportunities out there, and I think it's important that we also learn from the market what really is needed, right? But let me go back a little bit. We're just to explain where we are coming from at UBS. We started the business 20 years ago with aviation finance on the private jet side. We are one of the largest wealth management companies in the world. So obviously by nature, we concentrate really on supporting our clients with financing of their private jets. And now, post the merger of Credit Suisse, we also took over the whole portfolio on the yacht side and have decided to also to continue finance clients on the yacht side. Now, so far, this is clearly to support the existing clients. And we have been financing already quite a number of super yachts. But this is then really what we call the private yacht side. And now with Dimitris, we have learned that there, of course, is also demand for, or that this has started to become a change in the market, which also goes into commercial yachting. And I think this is a little bit the product like in between of shipping, which in our bank we consider being a commercial activity. It's a standardized product, I would say, in comparison to private jets and also in terms of super yachts. And now we have the super yachts on the private side, and now I think the commercial yachting side now develops in a way. I think we need to see that this is proven, that this also is a project will last, because as we all know, a super yacht you cannot charter through the whole year, right? And substantial investments are also needed. So I think with that, I think this is clearly an opportunity, but we clearly need to look into it. So we're a bit of a new kid on the block in terms of super yachts, and I think first we also need to get experience. 2 years in that field, and we have the know-how, but still we need just to see how that the things develop. But I think it's a very interesting aspect and also opportunity, and clearly we need to follow that.
I welcome your statement. I will come back to you later about the chartering and about the party that has to be always next, because the meeting was talking about length of chartering, yourself, you talk about this. And of course, all of us, even the financiers, we always think about where the money comes from. Okay, so therefore, I will come. Johan, how do you like us here? Are you happy? I'm talking to you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, very good.
This is Fanny's.
Okay,
Yourself,
very
you are
good.
photo with Johan. And here is, next to you is Stephen. Oshi?
Johan
No.
Steven.
Other way around.
Johan Steven.
Stephen now. Okay, so I mixed it. Anyhow.
I'm up.
But anyhow, it's okay. Oh, okay, but Fanny's is Fanny's there, and Dimitris is here, George here.
Absolutely.
So,
No, so
Stephen.
thank you.
Tell me.
I'd like to start also by saying thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's a great privilege. This is actually the first conference I've had the privilege of doing.
Just
here
put the microphone a bit.
in Greece. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and thank you for that. I think similar to what Johan was saying, I think it's useful to step back and think about where I'm coming from and where the starting point is for me. So when we started in our private bank from a wealth management standpoint, financing yachts, it very much was with a private yacht mindset, right? Chartering was something that it took us a while to get even our head around. So I think as with everything though, in banking and in wealth management, you are driven by the objectives of your clients. So you need to be responsive to what are the needs and how do you address those. And as we have progressed our yacht financing business, we've recognized the need to be able to finance yachts that are being used for commercial purposes, that are being chartered, is important. And so that has been a progression for us. It's been a journey for us. But the fundamental remains for us. We are a wealth manager, we are a private bank. So ultimately, what are we financing? We're financing our private client. So I think this is the transition bit where we recognize the asset is a commercially operating asset, but our credit risk, our underwriting is still looking to our client relationship for that credit support. And I think that's the piece where at some point, whether we bridge that and we look at this as a commercial lending business, and so look at the actual cash flows and the business profile of the chartering operation, that's a step we haven't taken. But I think where we are able to support clients with a group of yachts that are used for commercial operations, and we can achieve some form of credit support still from our private client, whether that be a holding company, a trust, whatever is available, we absolutely have recognized this transition and this need to be flexible in terms of the use of the yachts.
Yeah, I got it, although I have some reservation, or not, I sustain a bit on certain issues, because we have to figure out later how and when we will define whether the market will be mature enough in order to get rid of this personal touch and go to the second phase, which is going to be the market itself. You are going to have a round of this discussion about this. But allow me to go to the leader of the Greek shipping financing, the head of National Bank of Greece, and who has been for years in this field, and not only in the field of shipping, but in many different aspects. And just have, even funny from your side, your initial position about this move, the transition move of the market itself. Now you don't have George asking because he's a billionaire or a millionaire. You don't have just myself asking for one yacht in order to have it for my family or for my partners or whatever. Now you are talking about a company that has 7 vessels already in the water and has another 16, let's say, new building coming in. It is something different. It is not yachting the way that we grew up. It was right up. What is your initial view?
Good evening, everybody, and once again, I would like to thank you for the invitation. I think the combination of the panel, George, says a lot about where we stand. We're discussing with 2 major international banks on the private banking side. As you said, it's not a commercial operating asset, it's a private client. So, what we need a corporate structure. We're getting there on the super yacht business, okay? We're in a yachting conference, but if we're talking about major financing, I think internationally is the super yacht ecosystem that might be involved. We're not there yet.
And on this stage, we focus on this.
Yeah. And what is happening, because I heard a lot about marinas problems and all these issues. Right now in the super yacht business, major private equity are doing moves on the marinas. American Blackstones last year, and a lot of deals are happening on the marinas. So it's not only the asset, it's only the super yacht assets, mean marinas, service, the shipping asset itself. So I think this is evolving. You said before, and we'll discuss it, when we will be ready, we will smell it, being bankers, when the thing will be ready, so you cannot put it as a framework. But I think we are in a good, we need, as I told you, corporate structure, and when we'll discuss the revenues or where, in order to leave from the private and going to the commercial, the repayment must come from the cash flow, which has to be visible, steady, and reliable. So I think certain Greek players are moving towards this direction, and they have to be commended because they have invested a lot of their money in this business. But overall, I think, for the yachting business, we have seen it in food, we have seen it in hospitals, we have seen it in many sectors in Greece. We need consolidation. So more professional management at all levels. It's not only to finance a mega yacht. The whole system has to be consolidated. I welcome private equity. I heard some different ideas, but we need more professional management on this.
All right.
Across the sector.
Across the sector and actually serving worldwide or locally?
Sorry?
Serving worldwide, operating worldwide. Can you measure, for instance, if and when Angelakos has 10 or 20 yachts, all right, and he has
We're at 5.
doesn't matter.
Slowly.
If you go and make an open, if you have a good connection, you have make a nice and solid order in the east, you can have another 20. All right. So the question is, this goes to everybody, although we will go after that to specific questions. If there is a company with 20 yachts, super yachts, as you said, over 50 meters, over 70 meters, 50, and these companies serve worldwide, meaning not only, you don't care about having a local end.
Listen, if it is commercial, we are in commercial shipping,
This is what
okay?
I want.
So you need diversification. So Mr. Angelakos might have a strategy for Mediterranean, but also might have a strategy for Dubai and Middle East.
Dual season.
Yeah, dual season. So you need diversification of revenue. You don't want a single area. So that's better if you ask me. Okay?
Some questions
Sorry
are coming
for taking first the question, but
yeah, some questions coming from the heart in order for the field as well, to the people to understand that on how we can view this market at this very moment.
Okay.
So I'm going back to you, Johan and Stephen. The clients, the potential clients of the yachting should be also clients of your bank in the private sector. At least this is from what I see until now. How do you consider someone eligible or mature enough? I mean, if he comes to become a client, put 50 million there or 250 million, all right, and then you have it as a nice client, all right. How these relations will be built up in order to get a jet financing or a yacht financing or whatever?
I think there are several aspects on this question because I think, first of all, I mean, we only serve existing clients of the bank or prospects who are willing to start also a wealth management relationship. It's clear that I think the idea is clearly because we have then clients who bring their funds, we also have funds which may be a little bit, which we can really make use for financing at very good rates, right? So this is a little bit, we need to have a client to start a relationship. We need a certain amount which we consider being asset under management. It doesn't mean that this is collateralized, meaning that it's a security. It can be, or part thereof can be used to also make even, to extend on the loan to value side. That means that we can provide much more financing, right? Or we can also then use it to apply a better pricing. Now, that's one aspect. So balance sheet, I mean, we really carefully look into who can use the balance sheet, because cost of capital, which we also need to underpin, of course, costs. So we consider a relationship that's needed as well to also maybe generate some cross-selling opportunities. Now, assessing whether a client is capable and a reliable client in that sense, we, of course, need to see from the compliance side, KYC level, that the client is sound. We do significant vetting. Of course, this is also being done already when we onboard the client on the wealth management relationship side. And then secondly, also, we need to see that the client is capable of serving the loan. And I mean, serving the loan, I mean, it's not only serving the loan to us, it's also much more behind. I mean, it's about maintenance, it's about management of the yacht. And serving the loan, it's not like a real estate where you only pay interest, right? With a depreciating asset which we finance, it's also about amortization. And amortization is a bigger part of the whole monthly installments the client needs to pay. So we carefully also look into then, where does the money come from? I mean, is it from a corporate, or is it from the private side? Has the client recurring income which we can count on? And I mean, we're talking about 5 to 20 million, depending on per annum, depending on the size of the financing, right? And we provide committed transactions, committed facilities of approximately 5 years. So we need to really... Yes, George.
Approximately how many years?
5 years.
5 years,
right.
okay.
So it's a mid-size financing. We need to carefully dig into it and see whether the client is capable of serving the loan, right? And all the costs associated with the plane. And I mean also the lifestyle, because some of these clients, of course, have they also have real estate, they have maybe also a plane, they have, the lifestyle, certain lifestyle. So all that we need to assess carefully. And then, of course, we need to see that the assets which are held are in jurisdictions where we could enforce. And this is exactly where the personal guarantee comes in, where we really take recourse on the client. Because selling a yacht can take quite a significant time. Exactly. The asset is a depreciating asset, and in the meantime, we need to, the moment we really repossess the yacht, we take care of all the costs. So at one stage, timing is really of key. And if we finally have sold the asset, then we maybe see whether we are covered, or if we also need then to rely on the personal guarantee of a client. This is a little bit the model how we handle things. I hope this was somewhat...
Can I interrupt? Just 1 second, please. But that is exactly the issue. The word personal guarantee. When you're in, this is not a private yacht, it's a commercial yacht. Therefore, the guarantee is the yacht. It's like the ship. I understand the point, and we've discussed it many times. I understand that the market, isn't where shipping is. You go out in the market, you'll find a buyer to buy the ship. With a yacht, it's not the same, today at least. But this personal guarantee for commercial yachting is not very, how can I say, sexy for investors.
It doesn't go together with the corporate finance. Yeah. This is for sure.
Exactly.
And this is why we're talking about we are in a transition period. Stephen.
Yeah, no, I
have to comment.
And we have discussed this, and I appreciate the discussions, because, as I said, this is about a progression. It's about meeting our clients where they are, and picking up on some of the things Johan said. We're in a similar place. We do need a client relationship, but again, we can start a relationship with a yacht financing. If that's where we need to meet the client, right? But then there needs to be an understanding of how that relationship's going to develop over time. So we work with clients in that way. The other, I would say, progression, and it was a big change for us internally, more on the credit underwriting side and that risk analysis. When we started and we were only looking at private yachts, it was almost a penalty for it to be chartered. We almost took a negative view because of the chartering activity. Now, obviously, we factor in that charter income into the debt service capability of that yacht, into the ability. We don't need to look at the private client's cash flows as much in order to service that loan because we know that there's that cash flow generated from the operations. So we are very much working that direction, and we have the ability to look at holding companies. We have the ability to look at different structures to provide that guarantee. It doesn't need to be a personal guarantee. It doesn't need to be a family trust guarantee, but it does need to be something that we can articulate internally and obviously to people who sign off on our line of business activities, that it is something on the private side. It is not a commercial entity providing that credit support.
I have a question to both of you mainly, and then I will go back to Fanny's. If you can reveal and whatever, I want to know how many clients you have on the super yachting side, and how many of them they have more than one yacht. You don't need to put the names, but say this is the percentage that they have the one yacht only.
So far, we have only clients which have one yacht. It can happen that we would do like pre-construction finance for a replacement yacht of one client, where we then have a combined exposure for a while. But I mean, this we need to also assess and look into. On the plane side, we have a little bit more clients which may have one or two planes. By nature, they may have a short distance plane.
But even the planes, sometimes they hire them, huh? The sub-hire, they hire them sometimes.
Yes, so I mean, charter, as Stephen also said, I mean, charter is good. We also recognize that, clearly. But again, we still need some sort of, and also on our side, it's not only about personal guarantee, it's also about, like, from a personal income vehicle or trust. So equally, we can cope with that. But still, we are clearly looking at recourse on the client. And this is exactly because we have not come that far on this topic of commercial yachting. It is clearly challenging for us, but I mean, time will see whether this can be developed to serve clients on that basis.
Yeah, I think for me this is always a bit fun because the definition of yacht can be something that as you get to know people, a 10-meter yacht, they may not consider their yacht. They may only consider, the super yacht as the yacht, and then they may consider others as, the day boat.
Unless you have a company that has 210 meters yacht, and then they have a full setup like it used to be some sale, all these big names, 1,000 yachts, etc.
So I think what you find usually, or what I find is most of our clients own more than one. They may only talk about one, but then as you get to know them, you'll find out that they have a sail yacht as well. They'll have, a day boat, which is a yacht, right? So I think, yeah, and the other element of it is, as we've made this progression, is we do find that for some clients, putting a mortgage on the private yacht is extremely sensitive. That's the yacht that they won't finance. They want to finance the yacht that actually they are chartering out. Maybe some of the family uses it, maybe some friends use it, therefore there is some personal usage, but it's mainly for chartering. And that's the asset they're more comfortable putting the mortgage in and allowing a bank to have a security interest in.
Thank you, sir.
Can I interrupt again?
Yeah, because I want to go to Fanny's. Yeah.
Fanny, you made a very good point earlier. It's not only the weeks, it's how you manage these yachts. So having a corporate structure behind. So Angel Yachts is a management company. They run their yachts, business as normal, like the shipping companies. You manage the ships. Now, again, we are talking about private and commercial. And just to make sure that people do not think I'm talking about 50, 60, 70, 80 meters, there are people here who have sailboats, and they have more than 5 or 6 sailboats, and they charter them out as well. So, we're not looking at the 50, 60, 70. Also on a smaller meters and sailboats, there's also an industry there. Now, When you have dual season, and I'm not going to go far away. I'm not going to take you to the Caribbean. I'm not going to take you to the US. The Mediterranean, Jeddah is opening up. If one can achieve, and the brokers here, IYC, CEO, Michelle Chrysikopoulos is here, Fraser, Poppy is here. They can tell us how many weeks a 60, 70, 50-meter yacht can do per year a new building, because the information that we receive is she can definitely do 14, 16 weeks. And if you have a dual season, you can go more. So the balloon payment, financing back, the loan, and all of that, you just put the numbers down, it works.
Yeah, this is the basic logic of financing that I really appreciate. And the issue is that we go to the core business. And the core business is what we are discussing, and I fully agree with you, Dimitris. Fanny, just position yourself, because I know for sure that the National Bank of Greece currently and in the past, they were always making, what we say, favors to some of the big clients. Hey, I bought a little boat, can you please financing it, etc. You know what I want from you, actually, to tell me, again, when are you gonna see that this client, whether it is Xiradakis or Angelakos or Blitz, has reached this point of maturity to be seen for you financeable? And at the same time, with both leaving aside structure, it's going to be, let's say, from the beginning, like a startup. Everything will be in accordance with your standards. But how many years do they have to operate? What type of, you know, I know that you are not in the market the way that we want you to be, and no bank is in the market, but how we are going to develop these banks in order to finance this wonderful business that Angelakos at this very moment is doing?
Listen, in order to continue what we discussed before, I think the benchmarking overall and the, let's say, the dynamics of the sector, and I continue to talk about super yacht, and because NEPA are financed by banks, I think, across all the spectrum, is, for instance, we're talking about the valuation of the asset. It has to develop a secondary market, because I just to tell for the benefit of everybody, the liquidity of the LNG in 2018 as a secondary market is not the same as it is today, okay? And it's only 9 years, 8 years. So it's not only the players, the market, it's also the secondary market. So when you have transactions there, you can also, because you have said about depreciating asset, you fully understand where you stand on the value of the asset after 5 years. I'm not a private banker, so I'm just applying the commercial shipping principles, because I fully hear what Mr. Angelakos said, and I think this is, and because it's commercial yachting, different from I have a yacht and I charter it for 2 months to get the fuels and the maintenance, it's totally different. The amount of the investment of Mr. Draknis or Mr. Angelakos is huge. It's consistent, it's different, and I think without being an expert, you know, I think in a market that is developed globally, which is the super yacht market, where these guys are playing also in terms of financing, we have 2 major Greek players, which is very important. Okay?
Yes, and not only this.
Like because before we said in shipping we are #1 or whatever. It seems also that in super yachting we have 2 big Greek players that are active members of this market. And I think when the market develops, because I understand that personal guarantee is not a way, but this is a way that, you know, even in the
Even
In
the
the,
shipping
even in
started
the
like
shipping,
this.
there is still personal guarantee, so don't forget it. So I think simply I'm optimistic, and I think things will move faster than we think
I see.
in this market.
No, certainly.
Globally.
Thank you very much, Fine. Thank you very, very, very much. Because you make the discussion a bit in a rule. All of us, we want certainly to have good valuators, to have even evaluators of the charters themselves. And I want, because here, as Dimitri said, we have a lot of chartering companies inside here. And I want you, allow me for this parenthesis, I want you to tell me how do you measure or you evaluate the sustainability, the substance of a chartering company? What are you seeking for? Is just because you know it because it is next door in Zurich, or next door in New York, or next door in Piraeus? How do you measure that? Tell me one chartering company that is here.
IYC.
IYC is a good chartering company. How do you, I mean, and you don't know, for instance, that by building a ship in this specific, or not, and how, if possible, you will evaluate as well the place of the construction of a vessel. Because here in Greece, for instance, we are very proud of what we are building as yachts. And from what we have seen the last 20 years, the last 30 years, initially from Dragnis and then from others, all right, for private yachts, we have seen a tremendous development. Open discussion. It is not a discussion that UBS or JP Morgan or National Bank of Greece is saying.
George, I don't think they've reached that.
No. It is very important, however.
Yeah, they haven't reached there yet. Yeah, it's simple.
Yes, but the issue is how we can move on.
Yes, correct. And it's a very good
Hold on
point
a
what
minute.
you're
And
putting.
here we have not, out of these people that you don't see that everybody has a yacht of over 60 meters.
Yorgo, we are not there. Here is deposits, has a relationship with the bank, and it's personal guarantee, and of course being something that it's well built, whatever. So we don't apply the commercial shipping, we don't have evaluate who is your charterer, how reliable he is, nothing of all this. So it remains, that's why when the market gets deeper and developed, then, I don't know, in 2 years' time, in 1 year time, we might have this discussion. But all the ecosystem, evaluators, charters, has to be developed along corporate structure principles.
Yes, but George put a very good point on the table. These are things to look forward to. They have to look into. The banks need to start looking into. The charterer, who is the charterer? Who is IYC? IYC, Fraser, all the charter houses. We need more data in the industry. It's not only about, the banks and the investors. What are you doing as chartering companies? Where is the data? There is no data. The banks, the investors, they require more data. It has to do charter houses, banks, investors, all together.
But it's not only about data and looking at, quality of charter companies or shipbuilders. It's also about jurisdictions, for example. I mean, where do these yachts operate? Where would we have to repossess a yacht, right? There are still places where it's not really favorable for a lender to repossess yachts. How can that be? If we have a clear contract on a financing side and we need to enforce and where the flag, state flag is important, where the yacht is standing, it's important. So this is not only a discussion about quality of charter companies and whether we believe the economy is stable, that there is still demand for charter. It's a lot more. So there are so many aspects to look into. And this may be a starting point to take up the discussion internal to see whether we can cope with it.
Yeah, it is important to some extent. For example, we do have obligations to do certain screening on who's going to be operating the boat, right? And because we have certain relationship with that manager, or generally, I don't find that our clients are using managers or operators from a charter perspective that I don't know. So oftentimes, I know who they are. There have been situations where I haven't known them, and I go see them. I go visit their office.
This is fantastic,
I
what
sort
you
of
are
get
saying.
to know them.
This is very good.
But it's not necessarily going to influence my ability to finance the yacht, because, as you were saying, I start with the client relationship, right? But it does impact my comfort and maybe my need to value the boat as frequently. I might do desktop valuations on the boat if I'm comfortable with who's operating it and I know the chartering activity. I might not send someone out to look at the yacht to value it. I might just do a desktop because I know what's happening. Whereas if I don't have that comfort, I might require a physical inspection of the yacht every year. So it can influence some of the terms of the financing. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful contribution, but...
This is very encouraging, because, allow me to say some, as I said to you, some questions refer to the subject of this wonderful conference that this wonderful family is organizing every year. It is the ΠΑΝΕΛΛΗΝΙΚ conference on yachting. And this is why I insist, because here we have the market players over here. And I wanted to say that if I had a company, instead of having XRTC that I have a company that is chartering, what can I do in order to be known to you? Can I call you and I say, and make a presentation, and I said that I have these clients and I have this, and that if and when someone is coming, you should know? Do I have to do something like that?
I'm always more than happy to meet people, yes. I
might have a lot of money to leave you as well.
It usually works the other way around. Usually I meet operators through clients, so they've usually already started working with someone, and that's how I...
Yes, but if I'm an operator that I open an account and I say, and you see my income flow in your banks, etc., this will help you?
No.
No. All right.
No,
Thank you very much. This is a good answer.
But if you are someone who wants to get in touch, I'm always open for a catch up.
Okay.
Nice try, George. Nice try.
Nice try. I'm trying to answer questions on behalf of everybody. You see, it's not. This is something. I'm not pushing anybody. All right. Hang on. Now I'm going to another question. How do you prefer to? About. We said about chartering, we say about this, about shipbuilding, the construction of the vessels, the construction. Are you supporting for a big client, all right, that he's next to you, he has given a personal guarantee, etc. You support him when he's going to build this in Europe or in the States or in Japan or in Asia, in China or whatever? Do you have any sort of a ranking of this, a preference?
Yeah, we clearly, the shipyard is super important for us, right? So we vet shipyards. Fair to state that we can finance a lot of shipyards. We have quite an extensive list of approved shipyards. We are also open to look into approving more shipyards, and this is based on quality. And it's important for us not only the quality of the product, but also to see that there is a ongoing production line, and not, we have seen yacht builders, they have built one yacht and then finally there was no second yacht, right? And then they are being taken over. And so I think it's important for us also to understand how, what is the reputation, what is the product, what is the backlog, what about the facilities, and then clearly also on the financial side. Whether we can do pre-construction finance, that's also going into this direction. Clearly, we are not here to finance the shipyard without any recourse or any security. So obviously we need until we have a mortgage in place, we of course would seeking to any security, either by the client, or it can also be like a bank guarantee from, shipyard or the like.
Does the bank give bank guarantees to the shipbuilders for the yachts under construction?
We wouldn't, because we are looking to be the beneficiary of a bank guarantee in such case.
Stephen?
Yeah, so we do support construction financing. I think in terms of the list of shipyards, it often factors more into terms and pricing. So if a client is building with a yard that maybe isn't one of our preferred, it doesn't mean we can't finance it again. It just means that we may not put any real collateral reliance on the refund guarantees or any sort of credit support that they may have received under their build contract. And so again, that'll just mean that we're looking more towards the relationship than we are until that yacht is delivered, and then obviously we'll look at that from the mortgage side. But to Johann's point, again, depending on the reputation, the track record, that could impact then the terms that we place even on that delivered yacht, because it may not have the same market presence as other yachts. But
Sorry,
yeah.
so you will give a refund guarantee to a shipyard?
Usually we're receiving...
If it's approved by your bank, you will give?
We're typically receiving the refund guarantees as collateral. So the shipyard's banks are...
No, on behalf... So we have a client, and we want to go and buy a yacht at Lursen. And we want the Lursen or Fedship or whoever it is to give us a refund guarantee for all the money that we've put through until she's built, because she might go bankrupt, the yacht, so on and so forth. Will you provide a bank guarantee? There's a reason why I'm asking it.
So those would be provided by the commercial bank of the shipyard. So if I can't speak for my commercial bank in that sense, but
okay.
yeah, it would be the commercial bank
That's what I want to know, because
Lursen.
if you were, that puts you in the same position, if the bank was to do that, puts you in the same position that if the yacht goes bankrupt, you're left with all the yachts. Putting us back to what we were saying, with a personal guarantee.
Okay, αυτό είναι, Fanny, I'm going to you. This is a typical Xyladakis question. All right. Would you prefer to support someone that is building a boat, a super yacht or whatever in Greece, rather than in Italy or in North Europe or in China or in Japan? If and when you can finance him.
For super yachts?
For super yacht.
Listen, shipping is international. Before, we refer to 2 seasons. So, Mediterranean is the hotspot for super yacht, from what I have read, I don't know. But you need another market because Mediterranean is a naughty area also, with many geopolitical risks. So, for me, shipping is international. I will be happy to support a Greek shipbuilder, but it depends on the metrics of the credit decision, as you understand.
Yeah. I was saying also,
it's not sentimental.
This was a very good question, but I was saying as well about the place of construction of the yacht.
The place of construction of the yacht, as you know very well, better than me, there are traditions. So, if it is a traditional shipbuilder or yacht builder or super yacht builder, I don't have any issue with the nationality. But I'm not giving any money, so it's a theoretical
Doesn't matter.
answer.
We say yes. I mean, don't repeat again.
No,
because,
an easy one.
The issue is, and this is how we are all together here, even my friend, the MP here, that is, we are here in order to develop the market, not to...
George, I would like to repeat what the market also needs data, because as banks, we use time series, we use data. We need data for the value of the assets, for the charterers, for what is happening when, cruise ships were 300 and then were 30 million.
Very important.
So you need depth of data. This is very important.
And
because here, I think we're discussing how the market has to develop in order to be financed on commercial basis.
And this is a headline of our panel.
Very important.
This is very important, and we need data. Data exists, but we have to find a way to collect it somehow.
It's a good startup. To establish a startup for data.
You're never going to have data on the charterers. This is not Cargill, this is not Bungie. You're not going to have data on who's chartering the yacht. but data on S&Ps, data on charter prices, so on and so forth.
But what Mr. Mustakato said is very, very clear, and it is a call for all the market players here, is to try to be transparent, be strong enough, and ready to present themselves with data, not with the assumption, not with the stories that I have, you know, Onassis or Niarchos or Latsis as my client, and therefore I have a good reputation. We don't need the market like this. We need a market very solid, transparent, and any one of you, whether you are, κύριε Μαριέτη, τι γράφετε συνέχεια, δεν μας παρακολουθείτε καθόλου. Αφήστε το κινητό σας κάτω. Εδώ μαθαίνετε να πληρώνετε εδώ πέρα. Δεν μπορεί να κάθεστε εκεί πέρα. Να με κοιτάτε εδώ. Έτσι, ευχαριστώ πολύ. Well, you cannot choose, for instance, Margetis to repair your vessel unless he's going to give you data. Νικολάκη, εσύ το βλέπεις τον data τι γίνεται εδώ πέρα. Έτσι, τώρα αυτά τα μαθαίνεις. So this is what the market needs in order to go one step ahead. Until then, unfortunately, the flow of money in this particular sector is going to be absolutely personalized. Θα είναι αποκλειστική η χρηματοδότηση βάσει του ποιος είσαι, αν έχεις λεφτά στην τσέπη, αν μπορείς να υποστηρίξεις και αν βάλεις και ένα κίνητο για γκαραντί, που δυστυχώς αυτό συνέβαινε τα προηγούμενες δεκαετίες και ακόμα βλέπετε ότι παραμένει ακόμα. So, I think that we have make a good round of the discussion. Do you want to add anything yourself? Because I'm going to ask anybody if you want to speak, to say something. Εσύ ψηλέ, θες να πεις κάτι? Παρακαλώ. Εδώ παρακαλώ το μικρόφωνο. Από πίσω σου έρχεται, πρόσεξε. Μην τρομάξεις. Όνομα, εταιρεία και δυνατά καθαρά κοντά το μικρόφωνο.
Μάλιστα, κύριε Γιώργο. Απόστολος Παπασταθόπουλος, είμαι Chairman and CEO στο Πλανάκο Shipyard και General Manager στη Navigare Yachting. I would like to ask George, Stephen and Johan about leasing structure, because I think we forgot about it, and I think that 90% of the boats sailing in Europe, they are sailing under leasing status. What about it? I speak both for commercial and private boats.
So I can only answer for private yachting. So far, we have only rolled out the loan structure for super yachts. I was surprised when I came here to hear actually that a lot of super yachts are being leased. I would assume that this is due to for tax reasons. So this is clearly something we need to look into. But so far, we are only providing loan financing for the super yachts.
Yeah, that would be the same for us. We don't provide lease at present.
Next year, we will bring a leasing company for this matter. Poppy, write down, leasing. Εσύ δεν έχεις leasing, τι να πεις. Είχε κάποτε, έχει leasing η εθνική, αλλά δεν έχει τα γιώτα. But if you seek for leasing, there are a lot of leasing companies around the globe. Πάρε το μικρόφωνο.
George, the leasing law in Greece is active from 2014.
I remember that.
It's now 12 years, and we don't do anything. We had a very good minister at that time, Miltiadis Varvitsiotis, okay, and he voted this law, but we do nothing.
Therefore, we have the setup, we have the form of the setup and the legislation, but we are not using the leasing as a form of financing of the sector.
Exactly, yes. Why we don't use it?
Personally, I don't know. Therefore,
Εδώ και 4 χρόνια.
Therefore, I mean, Vicky said that because we have not answered the mutual ministerial decision, therefore there is no law about it. Very simple. Thank you very much. Δεν υπάρχει. Άρα, να ξαναφέρουμε το Μιλτιάδη, υπουργό δεν γίνεται, είναι ναυπηγός τώρα, οπότε άσον εκεί να χτίζει, θα βρει τα λεφτά και να μας δώσει και τα έτοιμα τα πλοία. Καμία άλλη ερώτηση, παρακαλώ? Ναι, παρακαλώ, κύριος. Το όνομά σας, την εταιρεία σας να φαίνεται καλά, γιατί μετά δεν την είπα την εταιρεία, είσαι και συμμαθητής μου.
Good evening. My name is Christos Ramnielis. I'm Beneti Shipyard and Azimut, Greece. And I have a question. I worked in the past in Zurich with Credit Suisse for financing. and there was a limitation. They were just financing steel yachts, no fiberglass. Is this still something which is valid for JP Morgan and for UBS, or are you also open to finance 40, 50-meter yachts which are fiberglass and not steel and aluminum?
So we have recently changed our policy to also include GRP yachts. So we do that now, yes. But we of course look at shorter terms on the GRP side, for example, and we still stick to the 30 meters plus in terms of size of the yacht. Exactly. And I think it's important because, I mean, we cannot compromise. I mean, if we have an important client, we cannot tell the client who has several hundred million in the bank or whatever, we cannot tell him to go away just because, I mean, we cannot finance your GRP yacht in a way, right? It sounds a bit like he would not have, or she had selected the right product, right? So this is why it was very important to me to include this.
We couldn't agree more, but in
Yeah,
the past, unfortunately,
absolutely.
this was a policy.
Yeah, we don't make a distinction, so we're very much driven by the client.
Thank you.
Funny, I don't ask you, because if you don't have personal guarantee, you don't get even a wooden boat, from that side. Another question. I have one question more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for lunch. I have to tell you for the next speakers, no lunch. It is a speech. Sorry. I thought, apologies, it's not my fault. But whoever is coming here to speak, try to be wet. I mean, να έχει πιει λίγο νερό, γιατί από εδώ για να πιάσει το ποτήρι εκεί πέρα θα πάθεις και η μέση σου. Δεν γίνεται. Να το ξέρετε αυτό. Γίνονται και λάθη στην οργάνωση. Απλώς τα διορθώνουμε on air. Να το ξέρετε. Για αύριο να αλλάξετε εδώ πέρα το setup. Που εγώ θα πιάστηκα για να πάω και 2 φορές για να πιω νερό. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που μας ακούσατε.